Hello and welcome to Conversations. This is a series of interview that we are recording in person on site in Miami, and we are in Miami for the TIACA's Air Cargo Forum. And with me today is Russi Batliwala, Group Chairman of Chapman Freeborn Group. Russi, as always, a great pleasure meeting you and talking to you.
Well, it's been a few years now, Reggie. We're almost related, I think. No, it's a pleasure always talking to you, and I'm always happy to spend time with you and inside and outside of business. So this is part of business, and maybe we'll end up at a bar somewhere, and that will be outside of business.
That's right. Russi, I know you do not have a visibility into the daily operations of your business, but I think you have a broader view of and how you look at the air freight industry, aviation industry. Uh, what are you watching? What are your observations about the air freight industry?
Well, our business is in the air freight industry as a whole is ruled by a lot by, and particularly the charter business what's the word now? A volatility.
Yeah.
We live in incredibly volatile times, and the adaptability of our business is quite amazing. I think every day you wake up, you don't know what to expect. Something's changing. There's a strike. There's a natural disaster, or there's no strike. There's no natural disaster. We live with that volatility and have lived with it for many years. There is now some business, the e-commerce business, that is bringing a lot of stabilization into the markets,
Okay.
and so that's helping. But at the end of the day, it's all down to volatility again, in terms of the business, also in terms of people. So in the charter business, in the air chartering business, I think everybody needs to remember that we are a service industry.
Yeah.
We add value where we can, and at the end of the day, we have no shiny airplanes and no shiny trucks. We have people, and people come and go from every organization. And I think there has been a change over the years in that, when I think back maybe 10, 15 years ago, we had people in our organizations that were not maybe pulling their weight completely in terms of the performance, but they were accepted, and it was all part of a group result that then kept everybody happy and everybody content. But I think this has changed, and I think it's changed in our organization. I think it's also changed in a lot of our peers and our competitors, that it all comes now down to performance, and people on six-digit salaries, they need to perform, and that is a big change. And I see it all the time now with people coming and going, and a lot of people moving from one organization to another organization. But I think the days of accepting a lack of performance is gone, and everybody in our industry is being closely monitored. We now have KPIs, which going back all these years, I never had KPIs,
Yeah.
but that's all come up now, and if you don't meet your KPIs, you're in trouble. So it's changing, and I'm not necessarily sure it's changing for the better, but it is the reality of today.
Is technology playing some kind of a role in terms of your access to, or the visibility in terms of the performance of each of these individuals within the group?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and that's exactly the point. Today, you can monitor somebody's exact activities. You can monitor their costs, their travel costs, their everything, and everything today is about ROI. So you come to an event like this, and a lot of companies, they expect when their employees come back, they want to know, what did you do? Was it worth it? Did it actually achieve what you sent out there? Because it's a cost, and we are all much more cost conscious in our business today. Our competition has increased. We've got to be more cost conscious as an organization. That's my organization and everybody else's as well. But absolutely, this transparency, and transparency is also something that affects our business today. As a charter broker, someone who who basically offers his knowledge and his expertise with aircraft. There is, there is through transparency, through the internet, through social media, there's a lot of information available out
Yep.
there. So the charter broker has to work that much harder to offer and to be there to provide expert advice and pricing that a normal client would not be able to find himself by using social media and so on.
Russi, you mentioned that you don't own any shiny aeroplanes and shiny trucks, but your assets are the people. There is also a lot of focus on striking a balance between your professional life and your personal life. How do you set that balance, bring in that sense of empathy within the group?
That's another good question. I think I've been in the
Yep.
business now for 37 or 38 years.
Yes.
I learned from my colleagues Chris Chapman, Karen Norman, and a lot of other people when I was there. I think empathy and understanding how people function and how people need to be treated and want to be treated is the most important thing about being in business and doing business. Today, nothing's changed. It's still the same. Yet again, we are now in a performance world,
Correct.
and that has definitely changed. And I think it's difficult to balance things in the same way as it used to be. But it's still fundamental to how we do business and how we deal with people. It isn't only the final dollar. There is a lot more to it. But the final dollar does play a bigger and bigger role.
Okay, Russi, let's get into a little more details about your current role. I know that you do not get involved in the daily operations of Chapman Freeborn, but I think you have kind of overall view about what happens within the industry. Sometimes you do step in to kind of help certain regions
Yes.
of the operations of Chapman Freeborn to really set up the things, set up the operation to make them completely independent and function. Give us a what is your day look like?
I have a wonderful title, chairman. So I joke that the job of the chairman is to sit down all the time. But no, I'm very down to earth. I'm very much involved in day to day in terms of information flows. I like to share information. It's very important to me. If I see something that could be of interest to the group, I put the information onto our normal network. I am there to support any office and all the offices. I'm there to be rolled in and rolled out as they need me with the title and with the experience that I have. I still have a lot of colleagues who've been with us for a long, long, long time within the business. So these are friends of mine now, not only my colleagues. And I'm involved in the M&A business, in M&A development,
Yep.
mergers and acquisitions. We're at the process of buying another company at the moment, which I can't tell you about for obvious reasons. But our business we've been very fortunate in that we diversified our business.
Correct.
So we used to be a pure charter broker, somebody without an aircraft buying from somebody who had an aircraft and taking a margin. And this was a good business back in 30 years ago and maybe even 20 years ago. But today I find it gets increasingly difficult. Again, as I said, through social media, through transparency, it's more and more difficult. We have to add more value all the time. It's not all about sales. There's a lot more involved. So we were we made a decision back in the early 2000s to diversify the portfolio. And today, 50% of our business comes from our traditional air charter broking, and 50% comes from our other businesses, which are all niche businesses in the air freight industry. So I'm very happy because I think we'd be in a much more difficult time if we were only as we had been in the 90s and in the early 2000s.
Yeah, you didn't mention about your involvement in the mergers and acquisitions of companies as part of your holding company, Aviation Solutions. Any specific targets from the cargo side of the business?
Well, we're always looking.
Okay.
For us, it is all about niche. The mainline streamline businesses it's difficult to acquire a business that is a mainline business like a freight forwarder or something like. There's no value in that. We are more into businesses that are niche in our playing field in the charter business. So, as an example, Intradco Global
Yeah.
is a perfect example.
Correct.
Specialized animal transportation, perfect fit to our group, and that's the kind of business that we're looking for going forward. And it could be in the animal business. It could be a specific other business. We have a company in Europe called Arcus Air that we acquired, specialized only in the automotive business.
Yep.
So that's the kind of business we're looking for. And I'd love to hear if anybody has ideas or companies they are interested in selling. Talk to me.
Okay, let's also look at the market, air freight market today. The demand is really robust and it's growing. If you look at the numbers from IATA, it's been a continuous upward trajectory, and it looks like the outlook for the rest of the year and maybe like the first quarter of next year seems to be very, very positive. Capacity from the capacity side, that is it is far below what the demand requires. Uh, Freighters are main deck capacity is very hard to come, both in terms of production freighters and the converted freighters are not available. A lot of the operators are pulling out very old planes and making them airworthy. What is the sense that you get in terms of demand outstripping capacity?
I think as a charter broker, it's our job to know where is the capacity and to have the ability to find capacity even at short notice. I mean, I think what you're talking about, Reggie, is the e-commerce boom that is
Correct.
going on. I mean, you hear stories about how many 747s are leaving China every day, and new contracts that are coming on, and it is vast. It is really, really vast, and it is definitely outstripping capacity, and but they are very clever. The way they are buying their capacity has been quite clever. They are not susceptible to these peaks and troughs that they used to be in the last quarter. They are buying very cleverly, the e-commerce companies. But they are the driver for all of this, what you're referring to. They're definitely the driver. But going back to the other market, the market that we're also involved with, which is the ad hoc project type of market, the humanitarian market, and so on, there is capacity, and we can find capacity, and it's available. You need to know where and how. But again, that's our strength. That's what we do.
Okay, before I let you go, I think it's important to talk also about some of your pet projects. I just saw the news about your seaplane. Tell us about that.
Well, this is my I guess this is my hobby, but it's also a project that has been great for me because I've learnt patience.
Okay.
And I'm 60 years old, and I finally learned to be patient. Thanks to this project. Yes, we have two seaplanes, Twin Otter DH-6-300s that will hopefully start operating within the Balearic Islands between Palma and Ibiza in April or May of this year. It's a project I've been working for 5 years. We started from zero, and we're now close to final certification and final operation. So it's taken a long time, but I'm completely enthralled with the business. It's it's airplanes. I've spent my whole life with airplanes. What a surprise that I'm on a private note also doing something with airplanes. And it's more than a hobby. It's a passion, and watching these aircraft take off and land from water is something special. So it's a niche. I've always been focused on niche businesses because that's where I think is where you can make a difference. And so yeah, it's exciting times, and for my seaplane operation. And next time we see each other, maybe you'll be on board one of the aircraft going over to Ibiza.
And
You never know.
And this is your personal business
This
venture.
is my personal business, yes.
Russi, the last question. As you move around, you are not too frequent in the trade exhibition space. You do come at some of the events. Any specific themes, trends that you're picking up? Something that probably would need a little more attention in terms of how air freight industry helps global trade. Anything specific, whether technology, anything else?
I'm not so sure. I think we're going we're becoming more and more professional. I personally have a bit of an issue with some of the new players in the freight market that come in with new ideas, new aircraft, and whose goal, at least initially, as they enter the market, is not to make money. They lose a tremendous amount of money. So I'm old-fashioned. I came from my mentors were always told me and taught me that you do business to make money. But there are players now in the market. I'm not going to name names that have come in with
I get the names.
okay with beautiful airplanes and so on, but then operating on routes that are everybody is quite clear that they can't be making money, and that hurts a little bit because and hurt's not the right word, but it concerns me that people like myself and a lot of businesses are focused on making money, and then you have these giants coming in who really don't care how many hundreds of millions are lost. It is difficult. Let's put it that way, for me to understand.
Russi, great having you, and as always, very pleased to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reji. Always. Thanks a lot. Cheers.